Welcome everyone to Club E St. Paul. My name is Chum Struve, if I've not had an opportunity to meet you. We just have a couple quick announcements before we get started with our speaker. Some upcoming opportunities for you to learn and grow in this coming March. Next Thursday in Minneapolis, we have Valuing Your Business, Know Why and How. And Rick here is the host for that, if you have any questions. Back here on the March 21st, we have Riding the Startup Roller Coaster. And then the next day in Minneapolis on the 22nd, we have Mergers and Acquisitions. All our events are on clube.com for the different locations and also on our meetup. And my distribution list as well. If you're not on that list, just give me your card. We want to welcome or acknowledge the partners that we have that bring the events to you. That's the University Club, Olsen Thielen CPAs, a regional accounting and consulting firm, Schwegman, Lundberg, and Wissner, IP attorneys for tech companies, the Irish Titan, an e-commerce digital agency, Sunbelt Business Brokers of Minnesota, helping you buy and sell your business, and my company, ID Shield and Legal Shield, providing identity theft and legal protection. I actually spent about 5 years back in 2005 in recruiting and have been hearing about people's hiring woes ever since. So for the last decade, I've talked to companies of all sizes, from small startups to Fortune 500 companies in a variety of functions, from accounting to IT, and pretty much everybody is always looking, regardless of what current economy we have, and struggle with finding good help. So I actually, in 2005, I started working with our speaker today as a colleague, so I know how talented she is. So I'm very excited to have her share with you some tips, and let's welcome, and I'm excited to have Renee Fry.
Thanks, Chum. We did actually work together back in 2005, which makes me feel really old now. Anyway, I want all of you to stand up if you have an open position at your company. Are you hiring? Stand up. Stand up. Keep standing if the position's been open for too long. Right, we feel your pain. You can sit down. I'm all about active participation, so just shout out. I love interactive crowds. You know, that's no surprise, right? The unemployment rate's about 4%. 4%. And you know what that means? 2% of the population is unemployable. And so when I see that, I say the unemployment's zero. You're feeling the pain, right? Candidates have multiple opportunities. They're getting multiple offers. These individuals can write their own ticket. They can demand more flexibility, more time off, more money, right? And so you have to be ready for that. So what I'm going to share today, I'm going to share a little bit about myself. We're going to talk about employment branding, strategies to enhance your position in the market. We're then going to talk about invisible talent, is what I like to call it, and then finally, onboarding. So let me share a little bit about who I am. I am an avid traveler, a wine enthusiast, and an ultimate optimist. And what does that have to do with anything I'm going to talk about today? Nothing. However, let me share with you my background so you can understand where I'm coming from as far as my recruiting expertise. So I have 16 years of recruiting experience and met Chum along the way. But I worked for different recruiting firms for the first 5 years of my recruiting career. I was fortunate enough to land in the recruiting industry, which I am so passionate about. It aligns with my strengths, and it's just been a phenomenal ride for me. And in those, when I was working at these search firms or third-party recruiting firms or headhunting firms, as people may call them, and I personally don't think headhunter is a derogatory term. I'm very proud of that term. I thought, gosh, I really want to start my own company. But in order for me to start my own company, I need to be inside a corporation. I need to see an inside of a corporation inside and out. So when I come back out to start my own recruiting firm, I have an edge. I've got greater skills than my counterparts, because I had never met, up until that point, I had never met anyone that was in search that came from a corporate recruiting background. So what did I do? Went to work for one of the largest companies in the Twin Cities. And I stayed a little bit longer than anticipated, about 7 years, over 7 years. Who can guess? I'll give you a hint. Their logo is a bullseye. Who's going to guess? Target, yeah, Target. And I had the most incredible opportunity to work at Target, because here's what I did. I saw that company inside and out. I was on the SWAT recruiting team. I had my vest, carried my weapons. No, all joking aside. What the SWAT recruiting team was at Target, we were the most sophisticated elite recruiters at the organization. We were tasked with going into areas that had extremely high volumes or extremely niche positions to fill. And we are talking, we had to fill them with the highest quality of talent, and Target's bar for talent is very high, and the fastest possible way. And in addition, if there was a recruiter that was supporting that business, we had to elevate them and teach and train them on the way with our strategies. So that's a really big task, right? So I recruited there was 14 different pyramids at that company: HR, legal, IT, supply chain, merchandising, marketing. I've touched all 14 headquarters pyramids. Also touched the stores leadership roles in the fields, and I've also had to recruit for the DC distribution center leadership roles out in the field as well. So I saw that entire organization inside and out. Then I started Talent Q. We are a recruiting firm located right across the border in Hudson, Wisconsin. You get to choose your commute when you choose your company. Mine's 2 miles. I live in North Hudson. But we're downtown Hudson, and we specialize in salaried professionals nationwide. And why I started Talent Q was I felt there was a better way to recruit, better processes, and so I am revolutionizing the way we recruit. And how I'm doing that is by always putting people first. We always put people first, and some of my team is here in the room today. We put people first, and we provide the concierge level service to our job seekers, as well as our hiring managers. And what does that mean? We take your position, I take it as if it were someone I was going to hire for Talent Q. We take incredible pride in providing exemplary service and providing the full transparency on both sides of the equation. We are in constant communication at all times with both sides. They know exactly what's going on. They know exactly who we're searching for, what our strategy is, who we're going after at all times. So enough about that. You guys want to learn something today, right? So we're going to cover employment branding, strategies to enhance your position in the market, uncovering invisible talent, and then lastly, onboarding. So we all have everyone should have a handout, and feel free to take notes on there. I'm going to ask you some questions right now, though, so I want you to flip it over, and I want you, so if you're an employee at a company, I want you to answer, why did you go work for the company that you're at? And if you own your own company, I want you to write down maybe some of your company values or why you started your company. Does anyone want to volunteer? Sure.
So I work for Berg and recently came on with them. The reason being is I felt so strongly that they were doing such a tremendous job in their space that they were in, and that their passion and excitement about it was contagious, and wanted to be a part of it.
Awesome. I love it. Great. My next question is, do you know your key employee? Some of your key employees at your company. Who are the people that are invaluable? If you lost them today, you would want to die, but you can't die because you got to keep going. Why did they come to work for your company? And if you don't know, write that as a to-do. You must find out why they came to work for your company. Do you know why? Does anyone volunteer? Do they know why one of their top employees came to work for them? Yeah.
Pride in our mission, what we do.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, my next question is, how many of you have Googled your own company? Good, good. And do you know about the ratings out there of your companies? Have you all heard of Glassdoor? Glassdoor.com. If you haven't, check it out. It's an avenue for employees, previous or past, to post about their reviews about the companies that they've worked for. Candidates, job seekers are looking at this. you're Googling the employees when they apply to your company, they're doing it right back. So you got to make sure you know what your position is. Now I have a question. Who wants to volunteer? Who knows the definition of employment branding? Not all at once. Anyone have an idea? What do you think employment branding is? Think about the questions I asked you earlier. Yeah?
Are you a desirable company to come work for?
Yeah, great. So, exactly. So I define it as it's the image that your company has in future, current, and past employees have about the employment experience at your company. Exactly. There's a lot of things that go into that, right? Like some of the things you guys mentioned. Passionate, they're doing great work, they're a leader, want to add to the mission, all those things. What's also added into that are benefits, flexibility, the camaraderie, the company values, all of that falls into employment branding. So definitely make sure you know your employment brand. So next we're going to talk about strategies to enhance your position in the market. Do you feel that your organization has a clear, concise message that really engages with people about what it's like to work for your companies? I don't see any heads nodding. It should be this. If you don't, you got to figure that out. And everyone should know that, right? Some companies, they put words on the walls. A lot of it's tied to their values. But you got to make sure you have a clear, concise message that you are going to send out regarding your employment brand. The next thing is you want to make sure people can visualize what it's like to work there. In this digital age, what is the hottest method right now on social media? Like something you would put on there. Video, exactly, Chum. Video is the hottest method to send posts out because you come to life, right? So here's what I recommend. Your website should have an area with interviews with your current employees who love it working there. And the person behind the camera is interviewing them about why it's so great to work there. So you want to have videos like that. Some companies, and a lot of you come from small companies, but I say look after the big giants who do it really well. Target Corporation has an entire team of people working on employment branding. It is so important to them. Granted, they have a huge budget, but why can't you mimic what they're doing on a smaller scale? You definitely can. The companies that do it well, in my eyes, are General Mills, AT&T. Target does employment branding really well. But then on your website, if you can show what it's like to work at the company, what's the space look like? What's the break room look like? I mean, some companies are extremely progressive with their videos, and they have walkthroughs and tours of the distribution centers. It's mind-blowing what's out there. So definitely make sure you're using social media to push that employment branding message out, and you want to make sure you're pushing it out frequently because people talk, right? Everyone talks. How many of you, and one thing I would add in that is make sure you're highlighting the perks, the teeny tiny perks. So we have companies that we work with, one in particular, they have unlimited snacks all day long. We have another client who has beer Fridays. At Talent Q, we do Bring Your Dog to Work Day. All of these are boosting morale, and these teeny tiny things are attracting people to your company, believe it or not. So highlight those. Share with everyone those little teeny tiny things you do, because trust me, employees want to know. Next, we're going to talk about employee referral bonus. I want to know how many have an employee referral bonus at their company. Okay, so not many. If you don't have, so if you have one, reevaluate it. If you don't have one, you got to implement it. Here's why. Employee referral bonuses are the most cost-effective way to find talent. I'm going to repeat that. Employee referral bonus programs are the most cost-effective way to hire talent. Why is that? Birds of a feather flock together. You only recommend great people that you would want to work with too. You're not going to put your name on somebody if you don't want to work with them and you've worked with them in the past. And they get a little bonus, right? But there's so often, yes, you have an employee referral bonus plan in place, but no one's talking about it. No one's asking people like, hey, who do you know in your network? And we'll get to that in later when we talk about uncovering invisible talent. But it is the most cost-effective way, because if you hire someone that an employee knows, they have a connection at the company, it increases retention. That person can help them through the interview process and navigate the world of the organization. Super, super powerful. And it could be super small, like $25 gift card up to, we have clients that offer $2,500. And I would tell you it's well worth it. And you don't have to pay it. A lot of companies think, oh, we got to pay it within 90 days because that's when the probationary period is over. No, you don't have to. You could, if I was going to give a $2,500 employee referral bonus, I would make them wait a year. So lengthen it out if you need to. But you definitely want to have that. And then I'm asked all the time, what is the single complaint, the biggest complaint you hear from candidates, Renee? They interview and no one reaches back out to them to tell them they didn't get the job. Do you know what happens? If I'm that candidate, I'm telling everybody. I would never work there. They never got back to me. I interviewed. I took a half day off of work. I got my suit pressed. And it's been 6 months. I don't know anything. I haven't heard anything. Crickets. So if you have an applicant tracking system where you're capturing resumes, or however you're capturing resumes, if it's through a CRM, make sure you have a system that kicks back a note to them when you get their resume that says, thanks for your submission. Happy to see you. We'll get in touch if we have a fit. Something like that. If they interview on site, I personally, I'm a huge advocate of verbally on the phone. My team is required to do that live. But it's as simple as this. You could even send an email. If it depends on the volume that you have at your organization. Simple message, this is what I say. Jane, unfortunately, we're moving forward with other candidates at this time. I wish you the best of luck with your search. Simple as that. You could throw that in an email. If they ask for feedback due to HR legal reasons, all we say is, unfortunately, we're unable to provide feedback at this time. We keep it short and sweet. So get back to those people. Now, who can define invisible talent? Jackie can't answer because she works for me. What do you think invisible? Yeah.
I'm assuming another term for the passive candidate, somebody who's working but not really looking.
Exactly. You hit it on the head. And that's what we go after at Talent Q, because in this market, in my opinion, you might get one applicant. I remember at Target, I was looking for a senior buyer, and guess what? I'd get 1,000 applicants, and I have to sift through all of them. And I came across one that was like a baker at an actual bakery, thought they were qualified for a senior buyer position. I thought, wow, isn't this something? But that's what I was inundated with, and I always still went after the invisible talent, though, because sifting through those applications was impossible, right? So with invisible talent, first you got to figure out, where are they? And what I mean by that is, what pond are they swimming in? A software developer is not going to Career Builder to look for a job. They're probably going to Stack Overflow. They're going to a meetup to meet up with their coding friends to talk about the next Angular JS. And they're going to be like, hey, what projects are you working on? I want to go somewhere that has more exciting projects. So you have to find where your candidates are, right? Or a CPA, accountant. Where would they go to look for a job? I know there's a website called Minnesota Society of CPAs, or they're probably from Big Four, and they have a login to the Deloitte alum, and they're going to go connect with some of those people. So find where those candidates would be, and it's this simple. If whatever you're looking for at your organization, say, we'll just go software developer, because that's one of the hottest things in the Twin Cities right now. You're looking for a software developer. Mark's a software developer at ABC Company, and I'm the recruiter. I would say, Mark, where would you go to look for a job if you're going to look for a job? And I'm not I'm not thinking you're looking for a new job, but where would you go? And ask them, and they'll tell you. So utilize your own employees to figure out where would you go to look for that new job. There's some stuff, I mean, we've even heard Craigslist at times. It's mind-blowing where people will go to look for a new job, right? So be on the pulse of that. That's one way to uncover those invisible candidates. Then, I always recommend evaluating and refining your interview process. Because when you reach out to one of these invisible candidates that aren't looking for a new job, and you open that door, are you interested in learning more about an opportunity that may be stronger than your current one? Oh, well, yes, I am. That door now comes wide open, right? One, there's no competition. They're not looking for a job. My opportunity is the only one they're exploring. As soon as you open that door, here they are. What else is out there? I can't just accept the next first job. I've got to see what else is out there. They begin interviewing right away. And in this market, there's a ton of opportunities. So if you can refine your interview process to get them in quickly, make decisions quickly, I highly encourage that. And what we do is we ask specific behavioral-based interview questions for the candidate, depending on what profile. And we do that because it's extremely effective. How many of you use behavioral-based interview questions when you interview? Awesome. Yeah, because previous performance is indicative of future. Previous behaviors are indicative of future performance, right? I have characteristics about myself that aren't going to change. And if you can uncover those in a behavioral-based interview question by knowing what I did in a specific situation, then you'll have more confidence bringing me on board. But then look, who are your interviewers? Who do you select to interview your job seekers at your company? They better be the best employment brand ambassadors you have. And they really need to have adequate time to talk about why they came to work for that company. Because what people want are real stories. They want to know the truth about what it's like to work there. So you don't want some salesy interviewer. You want someone that can speak to why they genuinely love working for the company. And you have to make sure every single interviewer that they interview with speaks that story and has the time to do that to candidates. In addition, you're going to want to make sure the candidates have adequate time to ask the interviewers about what it's really like to work there. So some suggestions I have for that are, when you have someone in for back-to-back interviews, if you can bucket in a lunch with a peer or a coffee meeting with a peer, and you just set it up as an informal meeting. Part of your interview day, we're going to have you meet with someone from the team, and it's going to be totally informal, driven for you to ask any questions you have about the organization. It's all the time for you. So that's how you're going to position it. However, that person is still going to be evaluating them because the candidate is going to have their guard down the lowest at that point. There's going to be natural behaviors that will come out, and you're going to want to hear how they did in that situation, right? So even though they're not technically part of the interview process, they're still going to be evaluating them, right? But that's a great way for candidates to ask questions that they wouldn't ask the interview team. Like if I was interviewing with the CIO, there'd be different questions I would ask the CIO than a peer, right? So those are some great ways too. Another way to find invisible talent is to have a jogging session with your employees. I'm kidding, not jogging around a track. What I mean is jog their memory. So I don't know if whoever is responsible for hiring at your company, whether you're a recruiter or a hiring manager and it falls on your shoulders, this is what I love to do. We'll say software engineer opening, and we've got a team of 12 software engineers. So I would go through each one of their LinkedIn profiles and comb through their connections, bring the connections that I wanted to know more about I'll bring Chum's connections to Chum, and I'll be like, hey, just want to sit down with you for 15 minutes and run through some of these people, get your thoughts on them, Do you think they'd be a good fit to work here? We have this opening, by the way. You know there's an employee referral program? Yeah, cool. Go through the entire list and take the time to do that. You're going to uncover some people that were like, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of them? Because she's so busy building the next website that she's not thinking about the referral bonus or how to help find future employees, right? She's like got a job and a task and a work to do. Yeah, kids. Me too. So that's a great way, but go through and take the time. And I would do that with as many employees as you can. And it takes a lot of time, right? So maybe you can delegate that work to an admin to pull the names if you don't have a recruiter. But if you have a recruiter, I'd task the recruiter with that. And then if Chum doesn't have the time to reach out to Megan, her software developer friend, then reach out on your own. And if you get them interested, still give her the referral bonus, because then if they're coming to interview on site, maybe we'll pick Chum to do the coffee or the lunch, right? So be really strategic. Another bucket, which these two buckets aren't technically invisible by my definition, however, they're probably candidates that or job seekers you've written off. Who knows what a boomerang is? Yeah.
Someone who left and comes back.
You got it. You got it. So those boomerangs, when someone quits, I get it. I'm a business owner. It is painful. It is painful, especially when they're a top performer, right? Well, the grass might not always be greener. And how many people do you think are reaching out to people that used to work at their company because they're thinking, oh, the door's closed, the bridge is burned, I left. Go back and ask them. Go find out, hey, is the grass greener, Bobby? How is that company? Any chance? You know, we've got some new exciting projects. I know you know how to work collaboratively and cross-functionally at my company. Any interest? Great opportunity to net those people back. And bonus, they fit in your culture. They already know how to get work done. I mean, that's a huge pool of people that I would definitely be going after are those boomerangs. Another group of people that you've probably already written off are candidates who've declined your offers in the past. Oh, declined my offer. I was so excited about you. It's painful, right? But guess what? Let's get our ego aside. Those, again, are people that might be somewhere. Maybe the timing just wasn't right for your company at that time, or they accepted a different offer. And again, they might constantly be thinking about, oh, I wish I would have taken that. Reach out to them. See where they're at. So those are some definite areas you can uncover those invisible candidates. Now, when you find all these great people who are wonderful, they show up on time, they never give you any grief, they have great performance reviews. When does the onboarding start? Who can answer?
With the first contact.
What do you mean, first contact?
The first time you have a contact with them, whether it's email or consider that you might already be bringing them in.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So I was going to say the moment they accept the offer, but that's even better. First contact, you're onboarding them, right? Because they're forming this impression of your organization. So I always say the moment they accept the offer, that's when the onboarding starts. Now, if you have a candidate, and all companies are so different on who extends the offer, whoever extends the offer, if it's not the hiring manager, you definitely want to connect the hiring manager back to that individual right away, right after offer. So whether it's phone, I'm a phone girl, I love live conversations. But phone, email, or text, right away, welcoming them to the team. And then, better yet, I would schedule a lunch either Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right before they're supposed to start. We have statistics. Counteroffers occur Wednesday before they start. Always. If a company it takes them a week to figure it out, and then that Wednesday they're like, oh, we're gonna sit down and try to get them to stay. But if you have a lunch already scheduled, guess what? The more contact you have with them, what they're doing once they accept the offer, they're getting their resignation letter prepared, and at that point they are transitioning their loyalty to you, right? Their loyalty is gone from their current company. So however much contact you can have with them is better. And definitely call them the day before they're supposed to start. Just say, do you know where to park? Do you know what to wear? Any last minute questions? Because then you can start forming a relationship with them, and during that lunch or your phone call, you can start telling them about some of the projects you're gonna put them on. And that gets them fired up and reconfirms that they're making the right decision, right? So then when you're onboarding, definitely make sure you have the first day defined. And what I like to share in the first day is the strategy and objectives of the organization, how those tie to their role, to show them that their work and hiring them, their position matters to the company, right? We all want to add value. So make sure you are sharing the goals and objectives, how it relates to their position and their team. I also encourage having a buddy system. So pair your new hire up with somebody at the company that they can have as a go-to. Super cool, right? Super simple. One, a lot of those turn into mentor-mentee relationships, but the new hire now has a confidant at the company, and they have someone to go to for some of the questions they're not going to ask their manager, right? But that's really powerful, and it shows like, oh, they care, and I have someone to go to? Because how many times have you started a new job, and you're like, I have this question, and then you get the runaround, and it takes like weeks to get the solution, even if it's as simple as, how do I sign up for benefits? You know? So if you have that person, you can go to them instead of bogging down the hiring team. And lastly, does anyone know what re-recruit your employees means? Yeah.
Keep selling them on why they should stay.
Yes, exactly. How do you do that?
Treat them right.
Exactly. So listen to them, coach, train, develop them, give them accolades in the manner they like to receive accolades. There's some people that don't like public recognition. Others love public recognition. Some people like a simple, hey, great job, Jackie. Or an formal email that your whole team is on. Recognize them and that is the single item that's on my mind as a business owner every single day. I think about it every single day with my team. Because hiring is expensive, takes a lot of time, and it's painful, right? Like, we don't think it's painful because we love it, we do it every day, but a lot of you don't interview every day, and it's painful. You're like, oh, I got to put on my interview hat. Oh yeah, how was I supposed to ask these questions, you know? So continue to re-recruit your team and ask them. Don't ask, how do I re-recruit you? Just ask, like, what can I be doing better to lead you? What can we be doing better as a company? Are there any perks that could make your life easier? Like, if we gave unlimited snacks, would you be happier? You never know. So what I want you to do is take something, I want you to flip your page back over and take one thing that you're going to implement from what you learned today, one thing. And if you want a reminder next week, I can have Megan, my admin, reach out and be like, hey, did you do that one thing? But I trust that you all can do it. And then we have sign-up sheets on the table. So my card was attached to the handout, but we have sign-up sheets. I provide everyone that's in a hiring capacity a free 30-minute consultation. So, and I'm happy to talk about any topic related to talent acquisition. I just need to know in advance what it is. We can do a phone conversation. We can meet face-to-face if you're in the Twin Cities. I'm happy to do that. And then we also I write articles, and those are part of our Market Insights. So if you want to be on that, just write your name, email, and then check the box if you want a free consultation or to get on our Marketing Insights. We've gotten rave reviews about them, and they are less than 2 minutes to read, 1 to 2 minutes. But people just rave about the content that we've been pushing out there. So hopefully you've learned something that you're going to implement regarding employment branding, enhancing your position in the market, uncovering those invisible candidates who we all want, and lastly, onboarding. And I think we still have a little bit of time if there's any questions of things I can answer now or address now. Yeah?
I have a question. So,
Yeah.
Wondering your philosophy on this comment. I work with a lot of clients on many issues like this nationwide. So
Yeah.
here's my observation. Despite AT&T, Target, the good ones, most companies have HR departments that are stuck in the 1990s.
Oh,
It's 25 years too late. The millennials coming in the door are doing their own vetting. I mean, my daughter looks at companies and says, can I wear jeans? Do I get Fridays off? And is there, is there a chocolate fountain running in the lot? They're looking for that.
Right.
They're vetting it themselves.
right.
So gone are the days of just applying.
Oh, yeah.
So I struggle with companies all the time because you've got companies with really strong values and very vibrant and very exciting, but HR, forgive me, I hope I'm not offending too many people, but a lot of times they're really stuck in a traditional channel.
Right.
So I'm wondering what's your thought about that, given the millennial?
I would, first of all, I'm a data junkie. I would bring data, so compile some data of things that you see that other people are doing and just give them a wake-up call. We have to do it to clients all the time. You know what I'm going to share with you, you might not want to hear, but this is what we're hearing in the market. But I would say, do you know it's probably affecting their ability to attract great talent, right? And you've got to have a way to attract great talent to your organization. So I'm a very direct individual. So I would say, you know what? This organization right now is running under traditional ideals and beliefs from the past of how to recruit individuals. You really got to come back. You got to come into the 2018. And let me give you some examples or show you some data. I think using data and just maybe they're not even aware. A lot of times, I was the same. I was at Target Corporation for 7 years and I didn't stay in touch with my external network. And I'm a recruiter. Shame on me. But a lot of people like this are only looking like this, unless you're really progressive and you always want to grow and you're always benchmarking. But maybe make a simple suggestion. Hey, I think we should benchmark. See what other companies are doing, and then if they see it on their own. But it depends, some companies are very resistant to change. But if they are, they're going to lose in this market. Yeah?
You must see both really great and really horrible job descriptions.
Oh, we knew!
What are a couple of the best job descriptions, and what to avoid?
Yeah, I would say for job descriptions, you want to get away from objectives, requirements. You want that job to pop off the page like an image. So for example, gosh, I'm trying to think off the cuff with some of the ones we have. Do you want to create an HR department from scratch? Do you see yourself with a company helping them scale 3 times in the next year? I would add some of that. I wouldn't even talk about the day-to-day. Ask your team what they do and have them write them. Well, you'd have to edit it. But a lot of them, that's what I think, is you got to put in the sexiest parts of the job. And then really, what are the skills they need to bring to the table? And leave out the crap that you don't need. Only put the must-haves. The must-haves for the role. Yeah, they need Java. Maybe they don't need AngularJS. Yeah.
Would you say, I see a lot of job descriptions that have requirements, then preferred requirements, so just go with what you really need.
Yeah, go with what you really need. What you really need. And I would also add in there, personality traits that you guys are looking for. Because, for example, we had a client who was looking for a senior software engineer, and we helped them fill 3 of their openings. One of them, he wanted to be outgoing and be able to speak his mind and be more of a leader. And so knowing that, we added that into the job description as well, because there's some engineers could be happy sitting in their own room all by themselves, and others want to tinker with new software and are more vocal. So, yeah. but make the job description come to life. The traditional way isn't working anymore, right? And then put your perks in there. Perk, free snacks all day, beer on Friday, you get to wear jeans. Chocolate fountain in the... That is so funny. Any more questions? Well, thank you. What a wonderful group of people. Hopefully you met someone new or saw a familiar face. I love this venue, and I just want to thank Chum. We are so fortunate to be together today.
Thank you, everyone. We have the room, and I thank you again for being here.